Charles, how close is the world to building Terminators? Well, you got the Pentagon saying that they want to give autonomous drones the ability to make independent kill decisions. So I'd say 3 to 5 years, we got Terminators. 3 to 5 years. The next war will have Terminators. Charles, does your ranch produce any real food? Yeah, absolutely. 120 bison a year get hunted, and that translates to probably 30,000 pounds of meat. When do you see the singularity taking place? Probably in the next 5 to 10 years at the current rate of progress. So if you take a look at the LLMs, what you have with LLMs is really a layered approach in terms of capability enhancement. So the first thing you have to do is the training of the transformer network. So you have transformers, you have to train them against huge sets of data. So that takes 6 to 12 months in a giant cluster of H100 NVIDIA graphics cards, and they're running and getting super hot, and billions of dollars is being spent on the electricity to do that. And you have to buy billions of dollars worth of them. Now, those training, once you're done, you have model, and they'll have parameters. So that's how many neurons are in it, how many transformers are inside of it. And that could be 60 million or 60 billion or 100 billion or whatever. And actually, we're starting to move to multi-trillion parameter models. Now, larger the model, the more expensive the inference is for that model. So if you have a high parameter model, you might have a situation where to run a query against it takes a lot of effort, a lot of GPU power. So there's a balance between the parameter size and the inference cost. Now, there's a new type of hardware that's being developed by companies like Rain AI, Rain like the water, not brain, Rain AI, and another called neuromorphic computing, where they're actually building memristors that are idealized for this type of computation, not just giant linear algebra machines, but like the GPUs, but things that are custom built for inference and training. And they're about 1,000 times more energy efficient, which means that you can take something with a kilowatt and do it in 1 watt with a neuromorphic computer. So those will enter market in the next 2 to 4 years. And they're going to be a game changer in terms of that first step. But then you also need data, and you need what's called RLHF. Now, data is pretty self-explanatory. The problem is that there are all these edge cases, especially in computer vision and other things. So if you're like Tesla, how often do you have a semi-truck driving on an icy road, its front tires explode, it rolls and bursts into flames right in front of you? You're not going to have that in your training set, but it could happen. So what does your computer vision system do when an event like that occurs? Well, what if you could simulate that? It's called synthetic data. And so there's all these startups now that are forming that are doing synthetic data. And they're basically allowing you to imagine imagine events that are rare or unique and add it to your training set. And basically that's as good as the real thing from the purposes of training a large language model. So Syn data is already here, and it's getting much better. And it turns out you can actually use the LLMs to make synthetic data. So every time you have an advancement in the LLM, your synthetic data gets better. And then you can use it to train the next LLM. Now, RLHF, reinforcement learning with human feedback, is the single most time-consuming effort. It's where a bunch of people sit down like a mechanical Turk, and they interface with the large language model and tune it so you can have a chat GPT style experience. You ask a question, gives you an answer. That's also the alignment step, where you kind of make it not tell you how to make chemical weapons and these types of things. Well, people are actually exploring how to remove the H from RLHF and have RLAIF, where you actually have artificial intelligence train and align the AI. In fact, Anthropic, for example, wrote something called the AI Constitution, and they actually use as a notion of how they align and train Claude, which is their LLM. So there are massive advancements in AI replacing RLHF and doing RLAIF. And there are massive enhancements with the synthetic data side and massive enhancements with neuromorphic computing. These are the 3 foundations, amongst other things like prompt engineering techniques and a lot of cognitive agent ideas that people are coming up with. So giving them the ability to pursue a goal long-term and have long-term memory, and also the token space, make that dynamic based upon the task. These are the foundations of the sparks of AGI. And all of them are near horizon, meaning that we'll have orders of magnitude improvements within 2 to 4 years. And also, being the open source world, people are creating all kinds of cognitive architectures and cognitive agents that are floating around. Okay. So, all those things together, you mix them up with high competition, just even in the US market, with both open and closed source models, we're going to get to a point where LLMs will be able to replicate from an intelligence perspective what we can do, and do it at a scale we couldn't imagine, and emulate us as people, which means you can start replacing personnel with these things and go parallel. And suddenly, a single person can have a 10,000 person organization that's quite creative and quite capable and self approving. So I think singularity is probably 5 to 10 years, given those advancements: neuromorphic computing, synthetic data, and RLAIF.